a senator, while indoctrinated, could not explain his toxicity.
You should not listen to men's rights advocates if you want to know what they have to say.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Honey Badger Radio. My name is Brian. I'm here with Allison, the grand poobah of HBR, the mother brain, and this is HBR Debate, where we will be looking at, well, basically, they're usually videos that, like, can be actual debates, they can be discussions, they can be aggressive interviews like this one, and we sort of, like, give our perspective on that, and maybe, like, try to observe what's going on, give you guys some helpful tools that you might use if you end up in a similar position, and also start conversation with you. So before we get started and before Allison starts talking, I'm going to ask you guys, please smash that like button. It's very helpful to us. It sort of validates our existence here on YouTube, and let me know how the sound is and all that as well. So Allison seems to have stepped away, do some stuff, but yeah, with that said, Allison, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm fine. Just got rid of the backlighting. That might help the
Halo?
changes in lighting a bit. Yeah.
You still have a halo, but that's okay.
Okay.
It shows your
I can do
innocent
one more
side.
thing. Sorry, guys. I just came back from the co-op, which is like our local grocery store, and there are actually shelves missing items, which is I've never seen that before in our town. And apparently, the kids in the high school have been told that the year is over, and whatever grades they have at this point in time are the grades that they're going to get for the end
Oh.
of the year. So it's like school's out for summer, possibly forever. Who knows? Oh man. Okay.
Well, it's
so
not. At least you don't have it as bad as Italy. Italy has it so bad that Pornhub is giving them free memberships since everyone's going to be at home. And while we're on the topic of that, for those of you guys who aren't in Italy,
wow.
let me give a moment to talk about the sponsor for this video, Virtual Shield VPN. No, I'm kidding. But
Oh
but
goodness. Like that this is really crazy times.
yeah,
Really
yeah.
interesting times. I mean, I wonder if we're gonna have to jumpstart our economy from ground zero. That's gonna be an interesting sort of thing to do, to observe, and perhaps be
hmm
a part of.
Yeah, well, I think that one thing that I've noticed is we are in the wake of this, I've noticed that we are far less sort of divided. I mean, sure, the media is gonna media and all that, but I've noticed that there's been a lot more, like, humanity, unless you're looking for toilet paper in Australia. But I mean, I've noticed that we're, like, there's a little bit less division. More people are sort of checking in on other people, and especially businesses. Like, I know that this is not what this video is about, but I was really surprised. A lot of businesses have been sending us emails, like the vet that I go to for JoJo, my dentist, as well as, we order groceries through some services. Sometimes we order dinner through this company called DoorDash. They send us emails. They basically are like, oh, we're going to be doing free delivery. We know that people aren't dining in, so we're going to be making this offer. We're going to basically help these restaurants out, and it's like a lot of people are like, they're helping each other out in a lot of ways. It's pretty interesting. I got a big delivery of stuff coming from Amazon on Wednesday. And yeah, I've noticed that. So I think that it's going to put people's life in perspective, and all this petty shit will probably take a back
Just
seat.
drop away.
Yeah, at least take a back seat for a while. So, but this topic is not actually that petty. So what I got here is that we're going to be going through is a Sky News, and Sky News is a well, it's a news site, I guess you could say, or a news channel or whatever, that I thought was just based out of Australia, but apparently there's a UK version. And so this is Sky News UK, and they're conducting an interview with Donna Rotunno. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. Donna Rotunno was Harvey Weinstein's defense attorney, one of the people on his defense team. And this interview was conducted the day before the sentence was carried out. So the sentence was announced, right? So like after he was found guilty, but before they announced the sentence. And Donna Rotunno, well, all I can say is it's a really interesting interview. So I thought that we could have a listen on this. And I guess before we get into it, in case you guys don't know, Harvey Weinstein is a media mogul, a really big Hollywood producer that was found guilty of counts of sexual assault, as well as I think it was like some sexual misconduct charge. I can't remember the specifics on it, but I did a couple of videos, many streams on this already, and he was sentenced to 23 years in prison. And he is currently trying to get appeals done, but it will take some time to go through it. And the reason why we've been following this case closely and talking about it, at least from my part, is the means by which he was found guilty are and should be to you terrifying. And it's not his guilt or innocence is irrelevant. The methodology that was executed or exercised to find him guilty was based on no physical evidence and nothing but witness testimony, plus expert witnesses that had nothing to do with what was going on and simply were there to redefine the definition of rape, and an extremely powerful court of public opinion. It seems to be. Now, I'm always open to new info. If there's something someone knows that we don't know that changes that, great. But based on what I've seen, and I've spoken to lawyers about this, and I've seen, this interview, which also puts some light on some things. It would seem to me that there is a precedent that could be set that is very scary. So, do you want to add anything to that?
No, let's get into it.
All right, so let's watch some of this. I've basically already picked out the hot take, so let's get into it.
You were accused during the trial of taunting witnesses, of bringing them to tears, of inducing panic attacks. How do you reflect on that now?
When you walk into a courtroom, whether you're a defense attorney, whether you're a defendant, whether you're a prosecutor or a witness, everyone has a role and a job that they have to play and do. And, when the women make allegations in this case, part of making allegations is that your stories are challenged. That's what the American justice system looks like. You make a claim. The defendant has a right to something that we call the Sixth Amendment right to confront your accusers, and you can ask questions to do that.
All right, I'm just pausing it there. So,
yeah, that's simple due process. You have the right to confront your accuser. I would not want to live in a world where you don't. That you can just make accusations from the shadows and just have them upheld, and then believe all women to. I mean, that's not even rule of law.
Yep.
That's basically taking lynch culture and putting it in and making a non-legal system, a non-justice system around them. I don't see anything that she's saying that's wrong. I'm sorry. She's right. Because we have a system of due process, because we have rule of law, when you go into the courtroom, you have a role to play, and you can't expect to have your sensibilities be more important than finding justice. I mean, it's abhorrent that they're even or she's even suggesting that be so. Like, what is she saying? She's saying, well, isn't women's feelings more important than rule of law? Well, if this is where we were going to end up with when we started to talk about making women full citizens, maybe we shouldn't have done that in the first place, because the answer is yes. Yeah. Women's emotions are less important than due process and rule of law. If you want to have a society that can be in any way referred to as a free democratic system with a constitution and a legal system that works. Yes, women's emotions are less important than due process.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Let's keep going. This isn't exactly like, this is not where it gets terribly interesting. Let's move on.
You know, the people that criticized me, I don't think they really think about the big picture, and I don't understand what they were hoping for. Were they hoping that we would let people walk into a courtroom, tell their stories, and not be asked any questions? It doesn't make any sense. That's not how a court procedure works.
Yeah. So, yes. I mean, I think they actually did think that that's how it should have gone. They wanted to be able to not even walk into a courtroom. They wanted to be able to go on Twitter, say this person did me wrong in this way, and then that person gets arrested. I think that's what they want.
If you want women to have their emotions be the new law, then you have to have some space for people to interact as citizens. And then women can't occupy that space. By definition, if you want to give them the powers well above that of a regular citizen. Like this is an absurd question. I'm surprised she doesn't even realize how ridiculous and just ridiculous and irresponsible the question is. Like what she's doing, what the interviewer is doing every time she opens her mouth is saying, I don't understand how systems of justice work because I'm a woman.
Yeah.
I don't have to understand because my emotions are law. Look, seriously, if this is the end result, if this is the end of giving women citizenship, the rights of the citizenship, and that means to be part of the process of justice, to bear witness, to go into the courtroom, to do all of this other stuff, we can't. It is totally incompatible with the belief that women's emotions are law, or that women's emotions matter when it comes to due process. Like this shouldn't even be a discussion. This should be a freaking comedy reel. We should be watching this in the theater and laughing our ass off at this woman. Instead, we have to actually give her suppositions, her beliefs, some kind of credence. Why?
Yep. It is ridiculous. It is. All right, let us continue.
The trial obviously had little forensic evidence.
It had zero forensic evidence.
So it was down to the testimony of these
shots
women.
fired.
Ultimately, that was accepted by the jury. Do you accept that things are changing in the way these kinds of cases are tried?
If this becomes a
Oh my
pattern,
God, why should they be changing?
I know. Can you accept that times are changing?
Or can you accept that now women should be able to walk into a courtroom, say whatever the fuck they want, and have their charges upheld? That they should not be questioned?
Yeah.
Jesus, I wish I had been operating off of these rules during the trial against the Calgary Expo.
Mm-hmm.
You can't even question me. You just have to believe my accusation. That's it.
Yep.
Actually, I don't wish that
not only that, but I don't think it would have worked out for you. Yeah, but it wouldn't have worked out for you because it would have been a woman's word against women's word, right? So even if and it would have been the right kind of women's word against your word, which is the wrong kind of woman's word. You lose your women card when
you do something like this female lawyer is doing, which is question the feasibility of what this person is asserting.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't think she does want to accept the fact that due process is disappearing. Like it's already lessened when it comes to crimes of rape. Now it's just going bye-bye. It's just we're just not going to do this when it comes to rape. No forensic evidence needed. Just witness testimony. You can't actually the witness testimony. She gets up in the stand, and in Georgia now, apparently you can't even cross-examine. You can't even cross-examine the witnesses. You just have to accept the testimony with no questions. So basically, guys, we're headed to a world in which a woman simply says, you raped me, no evidence needed, you don't get to even ask her questions for her testimony, and everybody believes her implicitly. Is that not a world of law? No, it's not. It's basically the dark age after the fall of bronze. It's
Mhm.
basically all of these warring tribes killing each other over Helen's vagina. Seriously.
Yep.
This is absolute and utter bullshit. And I can tell you what all of those women who opposed women's suffrage were thinking. They weren't thinking about the woman the lawyer. They were thinking about the interviewer and the questions that she's asking, and they were thinking to themselves, "Shit. Yeah, that's going to be the end of Western civilization eventually." Because these women are completely ruled by sentiment, and once they get into the legal system, they're gonna make things like this happen. Oh, women's testimony has to be absolutely believed in. The important thing in a trial is not due process and making sure that the innocent isn't charged with a crime. The real purpose of a trial is to make sure that women accusers are comfortable and make sure that they see whatever justice they think is gonna happen or should happen. Oh, God.
Well,
All right.
let's hear her response to that.
Okay.
This becomes a pattern or a model.
Wait, I got to go back a little. Let's. Yeah.
By the jury, do you accept that things are changing in the way these kinds of cases are tried?
If this becomes a pattern or a model for the way juries decide cases, I think every single person who finds themselves charged with a crime should be concerned. Because if we are finding people guilty where there are mountains of doubt and very little evidence, if any at all, I think we need to question what the justice system looks like.
Very sensible.
Yeah, she is very sensible.
And not only that, she's not just looking at this in terms of rape cases, she's looking at terms of all cases.
Mhm.
Believe me, this kind of emotionally driven lynch culture, I mean, it took centuries, if not millennia, to get these protections in place for the average citizen. And these women are on the forefront of getting them taken away. She's absolutely right. It's not going to stop with rape. Rape is just where it's easy to get it in. It's easy to push it through because nobody wants to defend a rapist, right? Nobody wants to defend the sleazeball. So this is where they push this stuff through. And ultimately, it lands on not the Weinsteins of the world. It lands on the poor young men who are trying to get a college education and get
Yep.
slammed with some rich sorority girls after party next morning regrets.
Yep. The average man that can't afford a lawyer half as good as Donna Rotunno.
Black men
If a
who
lawyer
end
at
up
all.
in
Yeah.
a gang, end up in a group sex situation that ends up being regretted. That's happened.
Mm-hmm.
Or any situation. Some white debutante is like, oh shit, I slept with the football team and they're black. Oh my god, my virtues besmirched while I was raped. Yeah, it's gonna hit black and poor men most,
Mm-hmm.
and men who are not white most, and it will also hit white men. It will also hit. Well, I guess Weinstein is Jewish. It will also hit Jewish men.
It'll then basically it's all there are no men of any race, creed, class that are going to be safe from these accusations.
No.
Yeah, even men who don't fraternize with women. Well,
Yeah, they're not
this is
safe
something
either.
you should be concerned with, right? If you're gay, you should be concerned. If you just hang around women, if you have female friends, if you're, MGTOW and you've avoided women your whole life, it doesn't matter. This is where we are. If you don't need evidence to put someone in prison for over 20 years, if you don't need evidence for that, and you just need to bias the jury and the courts enough to get a conviction, no man is safe. None.
And she's bringing up the obvious point. This woman is saying, well, why are you concerned about the end of due process in the West? Why are you concerned about show trials in star courts and kangaroo courts? Why are you concerned that people are losing their rights, their civil rights under law? Why are you concerned about why are you not?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right, but anyway, so she asks her next question. Anyway, yeah, so Rotunno is very sensible. I looked her up a little bit. Basically, she mostly does this. She actually defends men in rape cases. So she probably has some experience with false accusations in her job, right? So.
But when you have sexual assault cases, the idea of a woman coming to police with a test tube of evidence just isn't realistic, is it?
Well, that's not true. That's not true. It's not about realistic.
Women.
No, but the question is, do you have to believe someone just because they make a statement? There is a history of cases where women don't tell the truth. So to say that now we should just believe women just because they make a claim without any evidence to back it up, and actually evidence to the contrary, I think that we have to be concerned about what these verdicts look like.
Right. Again, very reasonable, right?
Yeah, it seems reasonable to me. I mean, how
Yeah.
can you? What's astounding to me is that she can even respond to that.
Yeah, no,
Like,
it gets
what mindset
worse.
is
It
she
gets
in?
worse. It gets better later on. But yeah, I don't know if
Worse
like
or better?
I don't well no, what I'm saying is that some of the interviewer questions get worse, but Rotunno's responses get a bit better. That's what I mean. But yeah, like I don't know if this woman from Sky News is playing devil's advocate or if she's actually like performing some kind of advocacy, herself, like she's trying to take the feminist position or she genuinely believes these things. I'm not sure. So
Okay, but here's the thing. Like, this is, yeah, sure, this is a devil's advocate, but
maybe, I don't know, maybe not.
it's still an insane position to even take.
Yeah, it
Like,
is.
she's saying, yeah, we need to keep rule of law and due process, but why? It makes women feel bad.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I agree. All right, so let's go on to the next question.
But false rape accusations are a tiny percentage of overall rape accusations, and you're speaking as though it's the overwhelming majority.
I'm not
It's
speaking.
not.
I'm not speaking.
Wait, first of all, she's absolutely right. She wasn't speaking as if it was the overwhelming majority. She's speaking as if you cannot tell without due process. And furthermore, you're wrong. Even if the confirmed false allegations are like 8 to 10% of all allegations that go to criminal court, even if it's only 8 to 10%, the convictions are like 8 to 10%. And then you have the huge gray mass in the middle of nobody knows. So if you want to do an honest comparison, you compare verified false accusations to verified convictions. And then you're getting a 1-to-1 ratio or maybe a 1-to-2 ratio. That looks a lot different, doesn't it? A lot different.
Yep.
Oh.
The overwhelming majority. You are speaking as if because someone makes a claim, it should be gospel. We have a system of justice in the United States that says you are innocent until proven guilty.
Oh my God. Why does this need to be explained to this woman?
I swear, it's like, I think that this woman and viewers, or either the media believes this or normies don't understand how due process works. Like they have forgotten, they were never taught about it. They don't know what it means.
I seriously don't think this represents normies. This can't possibly,
No.
Normies, if you're listening to me now, you do not want to lose your due process rights. Think bad things will happen. And that's what's going on here. Yeah, the guy, Weinstein, is a sleazeball. I've had people say that, be convinced that he's guilty of something. Sure, he might be. But the way that the conviction happened violates our due process rights of everyone. And we're moving towards that. This is not the way convictions need to happen. From the evidence that I've seen, if you have additional evidence, present it and I will look at it.
Yep.
But it really looks like
evidence.
It really looks like this was, as the woman says, there was very little forensic evidence, or there was no forensic evidence.
No forensic
evidence. All
evidence.
Testimony.
Yes.
And despite the fact that these women not only testified to quote unquote non-consensual situations, but also situations where they were inviting sexual behavior with him. And they're now saying that the consensual behavior is because of they were under his thrall. This is a mess. And this kind of mess should not have resulted in a conviction. Yeah. Maybe there is a more solid case somewhere else in all of this that I'm not seeing, but based on what I've seen of this trial, this is a mess. And quite frankly, just take Weinstein out of the picture. Do you want to be convicted on evidence like this? Do you want your son to be convicted on evidence like this? No forensic evidence, conflicting testimony. Testimony of, yeah, we were having consensual sex, but this one time was not consensual, etc. Yes, I know that that is possible. It is possible for rape victims to do that. I know there are male rape victims who do that. There are female rape victims. But the problem is that it introduces doubt. And once you introduce doubt, you can't get above that beyond a reasonable doubt. And it should introduce doubt because most rape victims, most of them, do not go on to have consensual sex with their rapist. Most rape victims do not praise their rapist for the rape that they just inflicted on them or invite more contact. Most don't, some do. That's not to say that some don't, okay? But the problem is that the balance of doubt is now in favor of her lying. And we can't get up to that beyond a reasonable doubt. At some point, we have to start caring again whether or not these men are innocent, or we are going to lose our system of justice.
Yep. And by the way, too, I mean, if Harvey Weinstein is a sleaze, let's say that he is a sleaze bag, and I know this isn't really about him ultimately. If he's a sleaze bag, then the women who he was involved with that were consenting to it and wanted to do this stuff, what does that make them? I mean, I think it's important to look at this on, in that way. What does that make them? So let's go on to the next question.
I'm sure I don't need to remind you of the headlines that have been written about you. What kind of woman defends Harvey Weinstein? There's a special place in hell for Weinstein's lawyer. The Me Too movement has a very loud voice.
Yeah, of course. They dehumanized her because she's a lawyer that's doing a job. But
yeah, she's doing her job because, she shouldn't even be able to go in the job, do her job. Weinstein shouldn't have even had a lawyer.
No.
All he should have had was, paraded into the
gallows,
the courtroom, and stopped. All he has is a bunch of people throwing tomatoes at him. Like, seriously, the guy, I don't defend him because I don't think he's a sleazeball. He's a fucking sleazeball.
Yeah, sure.
And it's ironic that all of the male actors picked that up instantly, while the female actors were singing his praise. The guy's a sleazeball. But I'm not defending him. I'm defending my husband. I'm defending my father. I'm defending Brian. I'm defending the men who support Honey Badger Radio and all the men that are a part of my life and make it better. That's who I'm defending. I'm not defending Weinstein. I'm defending the men I actually care about. And people need to start seeing this that way. When feminists say that, all men, they mean the men you love. They mean men you love. They want to come after the men you love. Start caring. Okay? They will target people that everyone, or men that everyone has trouble caring about because they're sleaze, because they're awful human beings. They will target them. But in truth, they're targeting the men you care about with this. And they're doing it because they know they can get rid of everybody's rights by targeting people that nobody will stand up for. And like I said, I'm not standing up for this guy. Couldn't give, I don't know, whatever. To me, it's irrelevant. I'm standing up for the fact that that guy could be a man I care about. And I just can't freaking believe the apathy of women. They let this happen. And they let the women who are actually standing up for due process rights for the men who you care about. Like, you take you look at your 5-year-old son and ask yourself, do I want him to be in those shoes? Apparently, he doesn't get to have a lawyer because he's accused of rape. Because she's being dehumanized for even functioning in that role. He shouldn't have the right to actually question his accusers. And as soon as a woman levels an accusation, no pass, go directly to jail. Is that the world you want for the men you care about? Is that the world you want for your son? Because if it isn't, or if it is, if you can honestly, right now, if you're a woman listening to me, Go to a man you care about, look him in the eye and say, yeah, I'm okay with you going to jail on the word of a random one whom you can't actually question, and you don't get a lawyer. You just go directly to jail. You say that to him. You be honest about the kind of person you, so that they can make a decision whether or not they want to associate with you.
All right. Let's see what Donna Rotunno has to say to that. Oh, we'll finish the question too.
Has their case and their argument ever made you feel like you're a traitor to your gender?
Not at all. I have a job to do. I believe in the system of justice that we live under in the United States. I think that we have to fight hard to preserve people's rights, and I'll continue to do that.
So she doesn't seem to care that she's a traitor to her gender. But you know what?
You're not a traitor to your gender.
Of course not. Of course not. Because this isn't supposed to be about sides anyway. And the fact that the Me Too movement would even position a woman like her as opposing her gender only tells you what they really are after and what they really want.
Women who dehumanize men, who do not regard them as, do not respect their civil rights, they're turning those men into weapons. And at the end of the day, when women turn men into weapons, when they dehumanize them, when they do not, they treat them as disposable and disregard their rights, women end up dead.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's where these huge conflicts with armed gangs clashing, that's where that happens. So she's not betraying women. All of the women who are dehumanizing men are betraying women. Yes, you are. Because the next step is to use those dehumanized men as weapons against other women.
Against other women. You kind of dropped right there.
Yeah, against other women.
Yeah. All right, next question.
About dropping.
That's okay.
Are you confident that you're on the right side of history here?
Oh my God, I hate this fucking question.
Oh, Jesus.
Are you on the right side of history? What? Like, how do you answer that? What's she gonna say? Let's see.
Who decides what that is? I think that'll happen. I think that determination will happen long down the road, maybe long after I'm gone. If you're looking at it through a moral lens, everyone's guilty. But that's not what we do in a criminal justice system. That's not how it works.
Look at her. She's just like,
I don't understand this. This woman is not towing the line.
Yeah,
She's
that's what her
thinking
face
like
is.
Someone who understands the system of law, like a lawyer.
Yeah, does not compute. It's like the Windows shutdown screen, like sound effect should be playing right now. All right, so the right side of history. Let's move on.
These women were guilty.
They were guilty of a lot of things. They were guilty of using Harvey Weinstein. They were guilty of asking Harvey Weinstein to do things, making him believe that they wanted to be with him, that they wanted to spend time with him, and then get up on a witness stand and call him disgusting, sending him letters saying, miss you, big guy, sending letters saying, love you lots. I mean, how is that okay? How are we as a society saying men all bad, women all good, when we look at that evidence? How do you reconcile that?
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. These women were in contact with him. They thanked him profusely when they went to accept their awards. They take photos with him. They sent him personal messages. They wanted to see him again over and over. They had a working relationship that, yes, probably like overcrossed some line that normal people don't get involved with, but we are talking about Hollywood here, and yet they're the ones that get to call him a monster while their behavior is completely ignored, and they were a large part of it. That it was said that when the sentence was passed, I couldn't find the audio for it, but Harvey Weinstein himself said that he does not understand where this came from, and that he thinks that men in general are very confused when it comes to interacting with women and what it is that they're after, or whatever, something to the effect of, how can a man navigate, the world when stuff like this is going on? And I can't really, comment on that with him specifically, but when you see how this shook out, where they were doing things together, it was all voluntary. All of it was voluntary. He was making them famous. They were doing him favors, giving him affection, giving him attention, sexual favors, whatever. Right? The casting couch is real. It's all over Hollywood. That's unique to that animal right there. But the point is, they were both voluntarily involved. And yet he's the one that comes out a monster and worse, and they're just victims. So yeah, Donna's right.
The ethics I think are questionable because he was holding something. It's a sleazy thing to do. But she's correct in that if this is what she's saying is correct, they weren't clear at all. They didn't establish their boundaries at all. And they, in fact, made it sound like
that's what I'm saying, but they wanted something from him. It wasn't like, yes, he had the power to give it to him or not.
Yeah, but you know what, Brian? Okay, yes, they wanted something from him. He could do something for them, but it is still an abuse of power what he did. However, the problem is that it's apparently consensual.
Yeah, that's what it appears to be.
That's not what it. The guy's a sleaze. The guy abused his power, but the problem is that it was not. It apparently they were sending mixed signal to him and making him feel like this was acceptable behavior. And since it occupies technically making these exchanges, sex for roles, is well within the law. The only way to police this kind of behavior is to not encourage it as a woman or as a man, to simply say, yeah, no, and make it known that this is unacceptable behavior. But that's not what they did. I see what she's saying. I mean, it can be both, Brian. It can be a situation where he was a sleazeball, but they were also being really sleazy.
Yes, I think it can be both. But what my point is, I guess, and I'm not defending any of this from that sort of ethical perspective. My thing is this, okay? These women could say no. They could have said no at any time, and they chose not to because they wanted the money and they wanted the fame. So we shouldn't pretend as though the temptation was so strong to give into this that they had no choice, because they always had a choice. They just didn't choose to do that. They chose to the path of fame and fortune, and all that comes with it. It's like the person who signs the devil's contract still made a choice. That doesn't mean the devil is not the devil. Right. So
yes. So we don't even have to pontificate on Harvey Weinstein being the devil or not being the devil.
Right.
They made this choice. It is the evidence points to them having made a choice. Yes. And what she's saying is that they are responsible and guilty for having made that choice. Period. And she's the defense attorney. She looked at the evidence and said, "Yeah, no, they made this choice. This was not a forced choice. They could have walked away." What does she expect her to say? And also, why the hell did she immediately go, well, are they guilty of something?
Yeah, she's trying to position Donna Rotunno as a victim blamer. And that's like basically how she's trying to pivot, because that's what she wants to do. She wants to be able to say, you're blaming the victim, which is a popular feminist talking point, in case you guys don't know, that basically says women are never responsible for bad things that happen to them, and there's nothing they could ever do about them. It's never their fault, and they're basically like just inanimate objects drifting through space and time that stuff just happens to. And if you basically say to a woman, hey, to prevent these things in the future, you could take these kinds of precautions. You could, maybe don't talk to these people, or you kind of, did you not know that person was, a known. I wouldn't even say that. Let's say that Harvey Weinstein was super. Let's take him out of the picture for a second. Let's say he was a super hot, attractive 20-something, 6-pack abs millionaire. Let's say he was a Christian Grey type that was just a womanizer, a pump it and dump it type guy that made offers to women like Robert Redford and fucking that one movie where he offered $1 million to Demi Moore. And there were women who said yes to that. Okay. I would say that in nobody, basically it's a victimless incident that, unless you had like really strict laws against prostitution, is not a crime. But if that woman later on goes on to say, I think he raped me, then I think that we would have a problem, because it was like, again, a guy made an offer to a woman. The woman took the offer. They got busy. They exchanged, he made good on his side of it. She made good on her side of it. And then they walked away. It's not a rape. And there's no evidence of that. And that the issue is that should a woman be able to do that? This is why I guess for my part, I don't call him a sleazeball, because I think the only reason why is because of who he is and like what he's known for and some of the stuff that's been said. But if I look at it just like there is,
I mean, here's the thing. People are going to regard what he did as sleazy. They're going to regard it as a business of power. But it all comes down to, was it illegal?
Yes, exactly.
Was it genuinely against their will?
You could call it that again, but it's not illegal to be sleazy. So
no, it's not. It's not illegal to be sleazy. It's not illegal to say, well, if you want this part, or I can help you get more parts if you sleep with me.
Yeah.
None of that is illegal. So, I mean, that's where it ends. And our personal opinions about the guy are no longer relevant. But let's hear the answer to this.
All right.
That behavior warrant sexual assault?
We're talking about two different things. You're asking me if the women were guilty. I'm telling you that they were guilty of certain things. No behavior warrants sexual assault. None. The question here is whether sexual assault took place given everything else we know.
Thank you,
Absolutely.
Donna. I love you.
Yes.
For what it's worth, I think you are an amazing woman. You did your fucking job.
Yep.
No matter what your personal opinion was, you did your job. That is admirable. And you're standing up for due process, which is also admirable. And you're doing it despite the social pressure that women like this are putting. You are the type of woman the world needs. To keep its sanity, and to keep all of the very important traditions that we have established. Okay.
All right.
I just want to say that
coming forward cannot be an easy decision. It brings intimidation, it brings intense scrutiny, it can ruin a career. Surely a woman's not going to do that unless she's telling the truth.
I think that that's probably one of the most ridiculous statements I've ever heard.
God,
you should just, that's what I'm saying. She's going to start throwing out her ridiculous statements. Oh, going to court is hard. Why would a woman do it if she's not being honest? I don't know. Motherfuckers lie for all kinds of reasons.
Why would Yeah, they do. And a lot of them lie, and they feel incredibly self-righteous about it. This is one of the reasons why people have trouble detecting lies.
Yeah.
Because they think that people who are telling the truth won't be defensive, they won't be nervous, they won't stutter. They think that, well, liars tell lies confidently and self-righteously. And often people who are nervous about being believed will look defensive and not present as confident. And people think that is an evidence that somebody's not telling the truth. No, it's not. A lot of these people, when they lie, they enjoy the process of hoodwinking everyone. You're talking about psychopaths, women with antisocial personality disorder, which enjoy the process of lying. And newsflash, women are human beings.
Yep.
There are psychos who are women. And those psychos often really enjoy the process of lying. And this is why, like I said, people have trouble identifying liars, is because liars aren't necessarily lacking in confidence when they lie. Let's say.
No.
And they don't look like they're uncomfortable, because they're not uncomfortable. They're enjoying. I mean, a while back we would do lots of of responses to feminists, and I would point out every single time, and almost every single time there was a feminist on a stage or talking, at some point she would let the mask slip, and she would get a big old shit-eating grin, Duper's Delight grin on her face. Go look up Duper's Delight and tell me that liars don't get a kick out of lying.
Absolutely,
And
yeah.
they'll get that kick in front of police, they'll get that kick in front of interviewers, and they'll get that kick in the court. So for a liar, the being in the courtroom lying is a reward.
Yeah.
It's something they're eating up.
And it's made easy when, you don't actually have to present any forensic evidence. You don't have to do much to back up your story. You just keep it straight. And you have like an entire mob of people supporting you, egging you on to make sure that you win. So there's all kinds of like motivations to keep going. So but you want to some people are asking me to play that answer again.
She comes from a position of, and this is something I actually told to the man who ran False blog for a while, the False Rape Accusations blog, the False Rape Society blog. I said, the same thing, the same phenomenon that might be encouraging false accusations may be discouraging true accusations. Women who have truly experienced something have a lot of difficulty talking about it. They do. The liars don't. They have no stress over it. And the ones that do experiences have difficulty talking about it. She's conflating the two.
Yeah.
She's saying that a liar is going to have the same experience as someone who's actually been raped. No.
No.
No. Your statement is ridiculous. Go rip a strip off her ass, Donna.
And you should feel ridiculous. All right, let's hear that again, because I know people are asking me to play it again.
Coming forward cannot be an easy decision. It brings intimidation, it brings intense scrutiny, it can ruin a career. Surely a woman's not going to do that.
What career is it ruined?
She's telling the truth.
Yeah, right. He made their careers. How can you ruin a career when you literally made it?
But also, how is their accusations ruining their career?
Oh, she's basically trying to say that apparently like the public wasn't on her side or something.
Is there a single situation where women have accused someone and it's ruined their career? Like,
no.
Maybe,
well,
I don't even think Amber Heard is going to have her career ruined.
No, she's still going to be an Aquaman too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like basically that's the perfect illustration that what she said is bullshit. Amber Heard made a false accusation. It's been proven false. She's admitted to being the one who abused Johnny Depp. Is her career ruined? No. This is nonsense. Okay. All right. I want to hear what Donna has to say.
All right. Base Donna.
I think that's probably one of the most ridiculous statements I've ever heard. There are so many reasons people lie. People lie on a regular basis, whether we're talking about sexual assault, whether we're talking about whether or not they made a phone call, whether or not they showed up at work on time. People lie. We live in a society of people who lie. So to say that we should only question people in every other aspect of life, but we should never question them about sexual assault.
You've seen these women up close.
Let me jump ahead to the next bit. But yeah, so there is some editing that's going on. So clearly, like, we don't see the whole conversation.
Hard.
Yeah, that was a really rough piece of editing right there. But let's.
I wonder how much more of a truth bomb could have been launched from Donna. I'm wondering what's on the cutting room floor now.
Yeah, I know.
I'm like maybe Donna actually said something like, "This is how you solve the world's problems and the systemic situation that we find ourselves in." And they're like, "Oh, we're cutting that because of the truth bombs." You see,
yeah,
Brian, the density and of the truth bombs.
Yeah,
okay,
I actually tried to
make sense.
I actually tried reaching out to Donna. I found her Twitter. she's got protected tweets, so I sent her an ad. I'm gonna try. I don't know what the odds are. She's a little huge, but it's worth a shot, right? Maybe after women have completely abandoned her and shit on her, especially now that he was found guilty and he was sentenced to 20-something years. Essentially what that means is it validates them. They get to say, he's a rapist because he was found guilty. And it almost doesn't matter what the truth is, because now we get to say that anyone who sided with him is on the wrong side of history, which is exactly what this woman is saying, which means what? The results are more important than the process. That's what they're saying.
Position to believe women, to have that as the foundation.
It is not a radical position to believe people on the surface level about anything. That's not a radical position. But to say that you should believe a statement that someone makes without challenging in any way when you have evidence to the contrary, that's very dangerous, is what I'm saying. So can you imagine if we lived in a society where we say, well, everything everybody says we must believe?
If there
I mean, we kind of do when it comes to women. Like, we do that now. I want to get to a really good one because we've actually gone for an hour already. So maybe I can jump to a juicy one.
Well, what about the one where she says?
That's where I'm gonna go. The one the one I played for you. Let's do
a good
give
one.
Him a little bit more.
One.
Yeah.
Good. Is good.
But you seem to be accepting of a world where there are sexual predators, and it's up to women.
No, I'm a realist.
No, not
at all. Not at all. I'm accepting of a world that bad things happen in. It's unrealistic to think that it doesn't.
All right, so that's just establishing that as a precedent. But here's the good bit.
What about the man's role in this? The man's role who holds the power, certainly in this situation.
I don't think men have any power anymore.
Who says, I can further your career?
I don't think men have any power anymore. How does a man have power today if a woman can say anything she wants and they're going to be believed? That takes away every ounce of power that a man has. The pendulum is swinging so far in another direction that I think it's dangerous and scary. And nobody's going to change my mind about that.
Boom.
And she's right.
Yes.
She's right. We can't have half citizens be able to jail the other half, especially when the half that's responsible for running the society is the one that can be, like, seriously. How long do you think that's going to last? That's not a workable system. If you want the power to have your emotions be law, you can't be in the legal system, ladies. You can't be anywhere near it. You have to be in a situation where 3 of your testimonies is worth 1 testimony of Islam was right about women. No, okay,
How many women does it take to do it? Well, that's probably why they have that setup.
Yes, it is exactly why they have that setup.
Yeah.
It's not because they think that women's testimony is less worthwhile. It's that they know that women are more likely to be believed.
Yes.
So it's like you need to double confirm, and it's like, and that makes sense in a system where you don't have a hell of a lot of forensic evidence, and almost everything comes down to witness testimony and testimony. Okay. Like, it's understandable. I'm not saying it's right and not saying it's appropriate for our society.
Well, yeah, but it's good to know why it's not just there to oppress women. You have to know what the logic is behind it, But
anyway, moving on to this. All right. Okay. This is really rich coming from a feminist. And the reason why is that she says, why are you're just accepting a world in which rapists exist and you're not putting any onus on men to end. That's really freaking rich coming from a feminist. And you know why it's rich? A couple weeks ago, I was in an argument with a bunch of feminists on Twitter, and they were trying to argue that rape is social or pro-social because they want to make rape a result of cultural teaching so that they can control culture and institutions, because they'll say, this is a rape culture. You guys are promoting the sexual abuse of women. Therefore, you give us all your power and money and we'll take care of that problem. That's what they want to do. When I was researching all of this, I came across a piece of information that has been buried in the last 30, 40 years. In the 80s, feminists protested medical research or scientific research into the behavioral and medical causes of rape. So, in
Mhm.
other words, they were protesting research into what was
Why
causing men
people
to rape.
Yeah,
Why were
why do
men
people
raping?
rape? Yeah.
Why do people rape? What is the causes and how do we intervene to make less to reduce the rate of, and they were finding that there was a high rate of mental illness, substance abuse, and we now know there's a okay, guys, I think that homosexuality is a perfectly legitimate choice or lifestyle or also behavioral orientation, biological orientation, whatever you want to call it. But genetic factors explain 50% of sexual offending. That means genetic factors explain 50% of men who become rapists.
Mhm.
Genetic factors only explain something like 12 to 20% of men who become gay. In other words, rapists are more of a distinct behavioral genetic category from normal men, normal straight men, than gay men.
Mhm.
Which makes sense because, gay men are, completely normal for the most part, except they like a rapists are, of course, completely abnormal. But there's more of an explanation for that genetically. They also have a very high of personality disorders and abuse in their background. So all the medical researchers were uncovering this, and feminists were protesting. What they specifically were protesting were medical interventions to reduce the rate of, because they wanted to be able to use rape to implicate our greater culture. Because of course, that narrative supports their belief system and it also supports their control over society. But there were some feminists who were actually for these medical interventions and these medical and scientific and behavioral interventions because they were reducing the rate of rape. So they wanted them to continue to reduce the number of rapists. But then there was another faction that was like, no, we need to focus on cultural facts, even though they're not shown to reduce the rate of rape. We need to focus on them because that gives us power. Guess which one won out? It wasn't the one, there wasn't the group that felt that they should pursue medical and therapeutic interventions to actually reduce the rate of rape. So, in other words, feminists are okay with rape.
Yeah.
They are okay with the current amount of rape in society. They're okay with it increasing. They're okay with it existing. They're okay with it being out there and not pursuing things that actually will reduce the rate of rape if it threatens their monopoly on calling our culture a rape culture. So they're okay with women being raped as long as they maintain their power. And then they turn around and tell women like this, "Oh, you're okay with expecting women to take responsibility when the rapists that we ensured still exist in society are running around? Why don't men have to take responsibility for reducing the rate of rape while we as feminists have actually directed medical science away from interventions that could have reduced the rate of rape?" Can you believe that? The audacity of this
Yeah.
movement.
I believe
Like
it.
just sheer, it's like, wow, you guys steered medical science away from interventions that could have reduced rape in order to maintain your political narrative that gave you power. And then you turn around and blame other women who say, well, maybe you should take responsibility for living in a society in which feminists have, have ensured there are more rapists. Maybe you should, protect yourself in this society. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know.
You're breaking up a lot.
Okay,
We caught
sorry.
most
I'll
of it.
shut up
Maybe you
then.
can. No, it's okay. I'm stopping it there so we can go into the after show. But you can turn off your camera. That might help.
Okay, I will.
With your yeah, it's probably just like the bottlenecking of that Saskatchewan internet.
Well, my
Um,
internet has actually improved significantly. I wonder what's going on now.
oh yeah, I don't know. It could be maybe it's the noise gate on your microphone. It's just like we lose parts of
Yeah, it
words,
might be.
but it's easy to put together what's being said. So I think it mostly seems to pick up when you get extra feisty. But that being said, there are some other clips, but we should probably go into the after show for this. But what are your thoughts on? So yeah, I am going to try and reach out to Donna Rotunno. I don't know what my odds are. I think that she could be a really good guest. I'd be amazed if I could pull it off.
Okay, let me do a brief rundown of what I said. I apologize for clipping. I'm going to get a little further from my microphone. Okay. In the 80s, essentially feminists pushed researchers into rape away from interventions that would actually reduce the rate of rape because it was negating their narrative that rape was a result of cultural factors. And of course, we know why they want that narrative, because it gives them power. It directs money towards their ridiculous glee club activities where they hop around with pom-poms and say, don't rape, and put up posters and have whistles and throw parties, which has absolutely god-awful nothing to do with reducing the rate of rape. But it gives them power and attention and prestige, and it also gives them money. So they directed it away from legitimate scientific research into reducing the rate of rape towards their own initiatives. And they even acknowledge, like some feminists even acknowledge, no, we should push the scientific interventions because it will actually reduce the rate of rape. And then other feminists basically were like, yeah, no, we're just going to focus on this massively unscientifically supported notion that somehow people are promoting rape through rape jokes and sexual songs, because it gives us power. And then they have the audacity to turn around and accuse women who say, well, if you're a woman, you should take precautions, accuse them of wanting women to live in a society and not expecting men to reduce the rate of rape, when they were the ones who were directing attention away from scientific inquiry into reducing the rate of rape. So they're the ones who, I mean, this was in the 80s.
Yeah, sure.
By now, we could have, I don't know, reduced the rate of rape by half, quarter, who knows?
Mm-hmm.
On 90%? There could have been hundreds of thousands of women who would have never experienced rape, but to have experienced rape because of feminist intervention into the science on this social ill. And they have the audacity to say that this woman, it's unfucking believable.
Well,
it's
it's one of those things. Like if part of what defines what you are all these terrible things, you can't have those terrible things go away, because then you lose. You get, you don't get to do that thing that you do. Like if you don't have rape culture, you can't be a feminist. So you gotta perpetuate rape culture so you can keep talking about it. I mean, you don't want to solve the problem, because then you lose your purpose.
You gotta keep
That's
perpetuating it.
Yeah, it's
or
like
you lose your narrative.
It's what happens when you.
It's just unbelievable. Like
Mhm.
it's so callous and manipulative, and it's so psychotic. And
Yep.
then to turn around and tell this woman, "Oh yeah, you should feel guilty because you're telling women to take responsibility instead of telling men to take responsibility."
Mhm.
It's like, why don't you take responsibility as a feminist for this? Like
Yep.
for making sure that the science into this social ill is so screwed up for 40 years that we haven't been able to address it properly. Why don't you take responsibility for that?
That's asking a lot, Allison. So, um, let's go through the super chats, and then I got some more takes for the after show from this interview. Oh, I do have one more thing I think I'll show you guys. This is Gloria Allred talking about the result. Do you know who Gloria Allred is, Allison?
No, I don't.
No, I think she's a feminist. Pretty sure she's a feminist figure, but
rest of his life behind bars. It's a huge moment for his accusers and the wider Me Too movement.
This is actually after the conviction, or the sentencing.
This is a new day. It's a new day for women to know that if you have courage, there will be consequences for the predators who hurt you. So for the predators who are going to wake up in fear tomorrow and say, are they coming after me next? My answer is probably yes.
That's all. I just wanted to show you that. Remember that she uses the word predator, but ultimately, like, could be any man.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, she uses the word predator, but what she really means is men. Because this is something that will be used as a tool to get innocent men jailed and screwed over. Well,
So
this
yeah,
is lovely, eh?
they'll come for you. Yeah. So anyway, we're gonna go into the after show. I'm gonna read the super chats really quick, and then let Allison do the final shilling. So I want to thank you guys for sending super chats. First, it's really good. It validates the existence of our channel and helps us continue to make content that hopefully you guys will enjoy. So Polaris589 gives us $5 and says, "Lol, those glasses, those flippin' glasses, lol."
She means my glasses.
Oh, your glasses. Oh, okay. I was like, what are you talking about? The Great Indoors 1979 gives us €5 and says, the future is female. Meanwhile, all kinds of institutions are falling apart. Why are all men like this while holding a smoking gun? Bemarchy. Meredith Glassberg gives us $10 and says, shekels for financial solvency. I miss contributing during Hannah's stream before it went down. When due process falls, we are pay the price. Guess you mean we are all going to pay the price. Thank you, Meredith. And Great Indoors gives another €5 and says, get Donna on the fireside chat, Brian. Do your patriarchy magic. Make her sit down on the HBR casting couch. Make her an offer she can't refuse. All right. So, and also someone in the chat said that your glasses are pretty gnarly. And of course, I'm a Generation X kid, so I take that as cool. Gnarly, cool glasses, Allison.
Oh, thank you.
Totally.
Oh,
so,
bodacious.
Yeah, bodacious. Bodacious. I think that's a word.
Bodacious.
So yeah, take us out into the after show. What do the people here need to know before we get out of here?
Oh my goodness, that's quite the rad intro. All right. So if you if you enjoy this content, in particular, if you like our Generation Xisms, what are we? Zoomers, Coomers, whatever. No, we're not Coomers. I don't know. Whatever. Well, anyway, if you like our content, please go to feedthebadger.com, get a subscription. If you're all alone during this year of the great infection and you have no one to talk to, consider becoming a patron and getting access to our patron Discord, because the content that we make available to the public is just the tip of the fatberg, guys. Like, we have daily game streams, VR game streams. We have bi-weekly like games, Quiplash, Cards Against Humanity, that kind of thing, Jackbox. And we also have the after show, which is hundreds and hundreds of hours of additional content. So it's a lot of stuff to get through. And if you're dealing with an empty house and not being able to go to work or school, I think it's a worthy investment. It's just $5 $5 a month to get access to all of that. And you can do that at feedthebadger.com. Just select a subscription option, and you will be transported as if by magic, portals or apparition, into the Badger Discord, where you can talk to us, you can talk to each other, because they're a great crowd there, and you can join us on all of the special behind the scenes content. Once again, that's feedthebadger.com. Back to Brian.
All right, so we're gonna head into the after show. What we have a certain after show for the debate after show, right? Or the patron only show. We have a space that you have to be at a certain level to access, like part of the conversation.
So you got to go there, get in the Discord.
Yeah. Just $5 a month will let you watch the video, and then at higher levels you'll be able to get into the actual conversations themselves. So please consider doing that. So with that said, I'm gonna go ahead and take us out of here. Please give this video a like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, hit the bell for notifications, and leave us a comment. Let us know what you guys think about this topic. What do you think about our conversation? What do you think about Donna? Is it Donna? Rotunno?
Donna.
Yes, base Donna. Tell us what you guys think about her. And yeah, we'll talk to you guys in the next show. Thanks, guys, for coming on. And we'll talk to you later.
Men's rights activists are machines, dude. Okay? They are literal machines. They are talking point machines. They are impossible to fucking deal with, especially if you have like a couple dudes who have good memory on top of that too. Holy shit, you're fucked.
She's telling the truth.
I think that that's probably one of the most ridiculous statements I've ever heard.